Hi everyone, Coach Alexa here. I wanted to talk to you about a good person to follow and read their books, and that is a chap called Steve Magnus. Now, some of you may have heard about him in the context of the whistleblowing documentary on Alberto Salazar at the Nike Oregon Project and doping a good number of years ago. Both him and Cara Goucher, one of the athletes on the programme, provided a huge amount of evidence to microdosed doping at the project that obviously only got actioned several years later. Unfortunately, poor Steve Magnus ended up, and Cara Goucher to a degree, ended up sacrificing a lot of their career to be open and honest about it all. Now, Steve Magnus is a great coach, and he's written a couple of brilliant books that I'm going to come on to and recommend that you read for two quite different reasons. He's also a fantastic person to follow on Twitter almost every day. He's sharing some interesting and insight and knowledge about how he tries and supports his runners to get the best out of them. So definitely a good person to follow and read more about. So I'm going to pick up a couple of the books of his that I have really enjoyed. So this, The Science of Running, is a real textbook of a book, detailed, lots of scientific references, exactly the sort of thing I love. So if you do want to get into the really juicy detail about coaching, about improving running performance, about all of the science behind loads of different things, then this is a fantastic book to get your teeth into, Science of Running by Steve Magnus. The one thing that I would say about him is that his experience is predominantly around coaching college level athletes in the States. So those are between the age of 18 and early to mid 20s. They're the sorts of runners that are on a bit of a pathway, earmarked for potential kind of Olympic aspirations. So almost elite level runners. As well as obviously the elite level runners at the Nike Oregon Project. And he also specialises in shorter distances, so mostly track distances, up to the 5K and the 10K. So if, I'm working on average with older runners, non-elites, and potentially, marathon and ultra distance and beyond, which is a bit of a different kettle of fish. But regardless, the principles in that book are all really, really useful, as I say, with great scientific underpinnings. This is another book that he's co-written with a chap, so not Reflections there, with a chap called Brad Stulberg. So Steve and Brad used to go to college together in the States. They catch up every now and again for a few beers. Brad is a business coach and consultant, and they co-wrote this book because actually in all these conversations that they'd have when they caught up over a beer or two, they realised that there's actually a huge amount in common between improving your sports performance or your running performance and improving your performance overall in life and in work. So they come up with this formula that stress, and that's not the stress that we think of as a bad way, like being stressed out, but being challenged and then giving yourself enough recovery time for your body or your brain from a work context to process things and get its head around things equals progress, which is a formula and a kind of saying that I wholeheartedly agree with. So look Steve Magnus up, follow him on social media. Science of Running, fantastic kind of geeky, really in-depth, almost running textbook. Peak Performance, another great book that talks brilliantly about running, performance improvement, and also the parallels with performance improvement in work as well. Hope that's useful.